The female partner gets rich in the Chronology Chapter 1, The Best Parents. In the northern October afternoon, the autumn tiger is the most powerful. The villagers on the ground, most of them rushed to double grab, endure the high heat, and worked in the field. The man in the village, at this moment, sweating and dancing with a sickle, wherever he passes, a piece of corn falls down. The few women who had been behind them quickly followed, and swiftly moved the corn stalks into bundles, put them on the cart, and sent them to the production team's warehouse. Those who can compete in the double tier are all experienced people. Therefore, the division of labor in the whole process is clear and extremely fast. Ye lousy, get out of here. You haven't done more than half the work this morning. Are you ashamed of yourself? Hearing the angry voice of the village chief, the villagers who were stuffing their heads at work couldn't help but look up to see the excitement. After hearing who the village chief was shouting, he bowed his head and continued to work. Ye lousy was scolded, that's normal. Yi Xiuqing, who was picking up wheat ears, raised her head and glanced at her parents who were sitting in the shade of the tree. With a helpless sigh, he led his brother to continue his work. In this era when most people are very simple and hard-working, her father Yi Laosi is simply a stranger. Yi Xiuqing's grandparents have 4 children in total, and his father is 4th, the youngest child in the family. From childhood to adulthood, whether it's a pungent and petty grandma, or a grandfather who has always been very serious outside, he loved him very much. Because of this, her father, Yi Jiangong, grew up so old and didn't do any heavy work. Yi Jiangong has been wandering outside while other teenagers in the village were earning work points. Every time he was given a job, he could always find all kinds of reasons to escape. Although he hasn't done anything sneaky, it is still looked down upon. But he has a thick-skinned face. Anyway, the centimeter of his parents and a few brothers is enough to feed him. As for the gossip of the people in the village, he didn't care at all. When he was about to say a kiss, the girl from Shirley Baxiang was a little better, and she didn't like him at all. And for those with relatively ordinary conditions, he felt that they were not worthy of him. Even if there are some young girls who are so confused by his face and want to be with him, they are prevented by their parents at home. During that time, the 2 old men turned their hair gray because of his marriage. As a result, when he was just in his early 20s, he found someone for himself. This object is Yi Xiuqing's mother Zhou Cuiyun in this life. Zhou Cuiyun is an educated youth. The family conditions are very good. In 6 years or so, he responded to the call of the country and ignored the opposition of his family. With enthusiasm, he took the initiative to come to the countryside to support construction. When I first came here. She is also determined to make a contribution in this strange land. How can a little girl who has been spoiled since childhood can adapt to such a huge amount of labor? So not long after, she cried and shouted that she wanted to go home. It is impossible to go home. In response to the call to come to the countryside, how can it be possible to let you go home without making a contribution in the countryside? Of course, it is necessary to take root here and engage in construction. Zhou Cuiyun, who couldn't go home, thought for a long time, and finally made up his mind to find someone here, which can be regarded as finding a support for herself. In this way, Father Yi, who often mixes with lesbians, naturally picked up a bargain. The lesbians who come from the big city, even if they have to find someone here, they look at their faces. It's a coincidence, and the same is true of Father Yi. So if 2 people hit it off, it will naturally be a success. At the beginning, the Yi family was very happy that Dad found a beautiful young woman from the city. After the 2 got married, they discovered that there was a daughter-in-law here. This was for them to invite another ancestor back. Some light work, Yi Jiangong did it smoothly. But the work was a little heavier, and before Mother Yi refused, Dad Yi jumped off his feet and refused to let his wife do it. Therefore, after Yi Xiuqing was born, the work points of 2 people are only enough to feed themselves. Yi Xiuqing and her younger brother's rations were basically subsidized by their grandma. Thinking of this, Yi Xiuqing sighed helplessly. In recent years, she has not said about Yi Jiangong's behavior. However, Yi Jiangong has been spoiled by his parents since he was a child, and he has no consciousness of working at all. Before Yi Xiuqing was young, what she said was useless at all. Now that Yi Jiangong and Zhou Tsueyan are able to earn rations to support themselves, is it the result of Yi Xiuqing's tireless nagging for so many years? It is a pity, whether it is Yi Jiangong or Zhou Tsueyan, it is a lazy habit after all. As long as the opportunity is found, I will try my best to be lazy. It seems that I have to recite them when I go back tonight. However, although Yi Jiangong is a couple, lazy and selfish. However, they treated Yi Xiuqing and her brother very well. It is precisely because of this that Yi Xiuqing has not given up on them. www.novel.com. Moreover, Yi Xiuqing is still willing to do some labor within his capacity. Yi Jiangong does not have the consciousness of his daughters. The captain's words are not painful to Yi Jiangong at all. Captain, it's not that I want to be lazy. We grew up in a village, what kind of person I am, Yi Laosi, don't you know? Although I usually don't like to work, but it is related to the interests of the collective, I have never been sloppy. I am really uncomfortable, so I just rest here for a while. Hearing his sophistry, the captain didn't wait to say anything. Zhou Tsueyan, who was sitting next to him, nodded hurriedly. No, my head is not feeling well these days. I let him rest for a few days, but he was afraid of delaying the team and had to come out. He really couldn't hold on. He just took a rest next to him. Although the interests of the collective are very important, but in his current situation, if he insists on working, if something goes wrong, wouldn't it cause trouble for the collective? Hearing Zhou Tsueyan's words, Yi Jiangong stroked his head and nodded with approval. Seeing the two of them singing together, the captain couldn't help rolling his eyes. Don't come to this set for me, get me up and work quickly. I tell you, if you want to be lazy again this year, I will deduct your work points. At the end of the year, I see what you can do if you can't eat. Hearing the captain's words, Yi Jiangong looked up at the sun hanging in the sky at this time, and the sweaty villagers in the rice fields. He rolled his eyes, followed the hand that Mama Yi was holding on to him, and lay down softly. Babe his dad, wake up, what's wrong with you, wake up, don't scare me. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology Chapter 2, I'm going, is this a book? Hearing Zhou Tsueyan's words, the surrounding villagers were all bluffed. Although they don't like Yi Laosi, they are in a village after all, and of course they don't want him to have an accident. For daughters-in-law Yi, wasn't your body well before you headed the house? Why did you faint suddenly? Hearing this villager's question, Zhou Tsueyan stretched out his hand and wiped his eyes, and his eyes suddenly became red. The head of the house had never done such a heavy job before, and suddenly came out to participate in the double grab, and the body naturally couldn't stand it. Just now he told me that he was unwell and wanted to take a break. I thought he would just rest for a while, but I didn't expect him to pass out. My poor master, you said something is wrong with your tiredness, what should we do? Hearing Zhou Tsueyan's words, the surrounding villagers suddenly showed an indescribable expression on their faces. Yi Laosi is so lazy, can he say such a thing? Besides, everyone is watching. He basically hasn't done much work these days, most of the time, he hides under the tree. How could Zhou Tsueyan feel embarrassed, saying that Yi Jiangong was exhausted? Yi Xiuqing, who finally squeezed in from the crowd, saw Yi Jiangong lying on the ground and Zhou Tsueyan squatting beside him wiping his tears. In her heart, she suddenly became anxious. Although the parents look to outsiders, they have some superb quality. But for their siblings, it was very good. As a result, she had just squatted next to Father Yi and hadn't waited to show her sadness. I felt that I was holding Papa Ye's hand and being gently scratched. Yi Xiuqing was stunned for a moment, and suddenly reacted, dare to believe that this is pretending to be dizzy. Although I feel a little embarrassed in my heart, this is my own father. After brewing some emotions, Yi Xiuqing also cried with her mother. As for the skin, what is that? Father, you told me before at home that the double grab time was tight and the task was heavy. Although you are usually lazy, and you know the importance, get ready to work this time to help the village double grab. But Dad, why don't you know how to take care of your body? The uncles and aunts in the village are so capable. They have been trained since they were teenagers. What can you follow? I know you don't want to cause trouble to the village leaders, but you don't want to think about it. Don't you make everyone feel more sorry for your fall? Hearing what Yi Shuqing said, the people around who were originally impatient with Yi Jiangong in their hearts couldn't help but think a little bit. Indeed, they can't ask Yi Laosi to compare with them who are used to farm work. Moreover, a lot of what Yi Shuqing said just now doesn't sound like a child of this age can tell. It should be heard from the large population. It seems that Yi Jiangong really has the heart to change. Yi Shuqing clearly felt the change in the attitude of the people around him, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. These words really cannot be said by a child. The point is that Yi Shuqing is not a child either. Yi Shuqing also doesn't know what is going on with him now. If she had to subdivide, she probably reborn in this era with memories. Yi Shuqing from the previous life is considered a 00, when she was born, the conditions in the family were already very good. In addition, there is a brother in the family who inherits the family business, she only needs to grow up happily. Therefore, Yi Shuqing's life is rich and free. Whether it's piano, dancing, diving, horse riding. As long as she is interested, her family will give her full support. It's a pity that the good times didn't last long. Yi Shuqing had just grown up, and the family went bankrupt due to various reasons. My mother is not in good health, my father is shocked, and his spirits are rapidly deteriorating. In order to prevent her father from going to jail, she and her brother worked several jobs a day during that time. I worked during the day and set up a stall at night, and tried a lot of work. It is probably that their brothers and sisters do have business talents, and their father was more righteous when he was in business, leaving a lot of contacts between them. So after several years of hard work, they finally paid off their debts. As a result, Yi Shuqing hasn't waited for Yi Shuqing to be happy. Just because of overwork in the past few years, I died suddenly. Woke up again, and came to the 60s. After Yi Shuqing finished speaking, Zhou Zuoyan immediately felt the change in the attitude of the people around him. She responded quickly to say Yi Shuqing's words, and boasted a few words of her own master without a trace. Just when she was about to use Yi Jiangong's health as an excuse to find a place to be lazy, a female voice suddenly came next to her. "Auntie, this is what you are wrong. My uncle is not in good health, so he should go to rest. But, as his wife, when he goes to rest, shouldn't you take the work he should do you finish it for him? Moreover, listening to what Wuya said just now, my fourth uncle wants to pursue progress. In this case, you can't be lazy. If my fourth uncle wakes up and sees you drag him back, he should think in his heart. How sad. You are not taking care of him, you are affecting his progress." The speaker said as he squeezed in from the crowd. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com. Yi Shuqing can see clearly, the girl who talks is her cousin Yi Xiuli in this life. She looks 14 or 5 years old this year, and her figure is the most common skinny of this era. Because of frequent work, the skin on his face is sallow, and there are some sunburns. It looks like a common country girl. However, her clothes look neat. Although it looks similar to everyone, but I don't know why, it looks particularly attractive when worn on her. Moreover, her hairstyle is different from the double braids that most young girls of this age like to wear, they are high and have a special spirit. Other people present may just think she is very energetic in dressing like this. However, Yi Shuqing, who has been worn from later generations, was shocked after seeing her dress. Other people can't see it, can't she see it yet? Whether it's her waist-removed jacket or her high ponytail, this is a dress that will only become popular in later generations. Could it be that she also came from later generations? Not right, what she just said, and the current scene, why does it give her a very familiar feeling? Yi Shuqing's inspiration flashed, she should really be familiar with this picture. This was the content written in the last novel she had read before she was reborn in this world. During the few years that Yi Shuqing had just traveled through, when he was idle, he could only pass the time by reminiscing about the novels he had read. Someone in the book has the same name as her. When she died suddenly, the book was not over yet, so she kept thinking about it. So Yi Shuqing's impression of the content in this book can be said to be the deepest. I am going, she is not crossing, she is wearing a book. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology Chapter 3, First Encounter. In this book, her cousin Yi Xiuli is the heroine. Yi Xiuli's father was the second child in the family, and he was originally a neglected existence by the elders in the family. In addition, her parents had only 3 daughters and no sons. In this patriarchal age, it is even more difficult to lift your head at home. Therefore, the family does the most work in the house. Usually, he is squeezed by the best uncles in the family. But there is nothing good in a family, but they will never have their share of the family. When Yi Shiuli reached the age of marriageable age, she was married by someone in her family at will. Her life was very hard. When I was in my 40s, I was too tired and broke my body when I was young. I fell ill and passed away. The best uncles who have been sucking their family's blood have caught up with the trend and made a lot of money. Although he is not rich, he has no worries about food and clothing. The cousin she has always hated is very well married, the husband and wife are loving, and the children are filial. The cousin, even admitted to a key university, has a bright future. Yi Shiuli was unwilling to die, but she woke up again only to find that she was back in her teens. In this rebirth life, she first constantly brainwashed her parents, increasing the status of the 3 sisters in their parents' hearts. Then, using the uncle's family to look down on her mentality. Constantly plot to separate one's own family. Later, I used my profit to do business in this era and made a lot of money. In the process of starting a business, I met like-minded male protagonists with outstanding family backgrounds. In the end, both careers and love were harvested. When Yi Shiuqing read the original text, she felt that the heroine's struggle was very inspirational, which made her look excited. But when she became the little villain in this book, it made people feel less happy. Yes, Yi Shiuqing's parents are Yi Shiuli's best uncle and aunt. Yi Shiuqing also admitted that her parents were lazy. However, it is definitely not as superb as written in the book. More importantly, Yi Shiuqing remembers clearly. Her parents in the book, the final ending is not good. After was designed to separate their families, in order to support their 2 children, they had to do coolies and missed the opportunity to earn the first pot of gold. The youngest son in the family was abducted because there was no one to look after him. The couple gave up everything to find their youngest son, but their daughter had an accident and was bullied. Finally, their husband and wife left this sad place with their daughter, and never came back to death. Thinking of this, Yi Shiuqing suddenly felt some chills on her body. When I was reading the book, some readers asked under the article whether their family's experience had anything to do with the heroine. Although the author did not answer, he gave a thumbs up to a comment that said the reader's Virgin Mary. Although Yi Shiuqing felt uncomfortable at the time, she didn't care too much. Now, when she has become the little girl in the book who is almost ruined, she has to think about what to do in the future so that the family can avoid the ending in the book. She does not want to confront Yi Shiuli, who has the halo of the heroine, but she does not want to be harmed by her. Yi Shiuqing is seriously recalling the content of the book. In the eyes of others, Yi Shiuqing is just there. Why? Wuya, do you have an opinion about what I said? Wuya, although you are not too old now, you are not a child anymore. You should understand many things. I won't say anything about the 4th uncle and the 4th aunt, but you can't help them to be lazy. I know, the 4th uncle did not set you a good example, but the other people in the family are very hardworking. You say who you are not good at, why do you have to learn from your uncle? Yi Shiuqing looked blank when she heard what Yi Shiuli said. She didn't say a word yet. Why did the heroine say so much by herself? There is no mention in the book that the hostess is such a person who likes to talk to herself, who is also a wordy person. Hey, how do you talk, you? Hearing what Yi Shiuli said, Zhou Tsueyin quit. In her opinion, although her daughters are always stupid to tell them not to be lazy, they can be anywhere except this and that. She couldn't bear to say it herself, why should others say it? Yi Shiuli's words are not nice, but they sound to others, but they are all for Yi Shiuqing's good. Moreover, Yi Shiuli has indeed helped her family with work since she was a child, and her reputation is much better than that of Yi Shiuqing's own family. So, when I heard Zhou Tsueyin seemed to want to refute Yi Shiuli, the villagers around them all tried to persuade him. This plot takes place in the 3rd chapter of the original book. Yi Shiuli is like this in the book, a few words made Zhou Tsueyin start a fire. At this time, she just pretended to be frightened and stood aggrieved and waited for others to help her out. And in the original text, Yi Jianong couldn't stand the accusations made by others against his wives and daughters. He stood up and helped them to speak, but when someone saw it through, he pretended to be fainted. Since then, the reputation of their family in the village has become even worse. This is also the beginning of their family's tragic ending. At this time, Yi Xiuqing, of course, would not let things develop according to the situation in the book. Mother, don't tell me, the fourth sister is right. Yi Xiuqing reached out and grabbed Zhou Cuiyan's corner of his clothes www.mflnovel.com with the other hand. She pinched her lap very concealedly. Damn it, it hurts. Of course, the effect is also very good. No, the tears came down all at once. Mother, it's all my fault. My cousin is right. I'm not upset. Oh, I've never been as good as my cousin since I was a kid. My cousin said that I should be beaten, mother. Don't talk about cousin, I am not wronged. At this point, Yi Xiuqing looked at Yi Xiuli with tears. Cousin, after I go back, I will give you the candy my father gave me, okay, I will listen to you in the future. You let me do your work, and I won't be lazy. I beg you, don't let my mother do so much work. My mother and my dad are about the same body. My dad has passed out, and I'm afraid my mother can't hold on. People in this era are still very simple. Although some people's brains are turning faster, a lot of information can be heard from Yi Xiuqing's words. But no one thought that under their noses, the two little girls, who were only in their early 30s, had already engaged in a confrontation. Okay, what are you all around here for? Can't collect the land. Go back to work quickly, Qing girl, don't cry, you don't need you here, you send your parents home to raise, go ahead. The village chief glanced at Yi Xiuqing and Zhou Cuiyan, and felt that Yi Xiuqing, who was still only 13 years old, was more reliable. Therefore, I entrusted this work to Yi Xiuqing. Cracked the heroine's first target, and Yi Xiuqing was in a good mood. And she really needs to think about it now, what she will do in the future, in order to save their family. So, after hearing the words of the village chief, Yi Xiuqing simply agreed. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology chapter 4, is she targeting us? Because at this time, everyone is busy with the autumn harvest. The two villagers who helped send Yi Jianong back, put Yi Jianong down and left. Hearing the steps of these people leaving, he was lying on the con with a calm face. After the bumps all the way, Yi Jianong didn't open his eyes, a carp struck up and sat up from the con. Are they all gone? Oh my old girl, she really looks like me, this head turns fast. Yi Jianong glanced at Yi Xiuqing with a beautiful expression on his face. Hearing Yi Jiangong's words, Zhou Cuiyan's face showed the comforting smile of someone who succeeded him. Isn't it, my young girl's reaction was a lot of lumps. I didn't even react at the time. She cracked and persuaded the people around. Your mother said that it's useless for the girl to go to school. Look, if it wasn't for our young girl to go to school, can you say that? Hearing Zhou Cuiyan's words, Yi Jianong nodded in agreement. Although they started to let Yi Xiuqing go to school, besides Yi Xiuqing's strong request, they also wanted to take advantage of the family. But after so many years, they found that Yi Xiuqing's brain is really turning very fast, and the results have always been very good. After returning to the college entrance examination a year ago, they have even higher hopes for this daughter. Hearing her parents praise herself there, Yi Xiuqing felt embarrassed in her heart, and hurriedly interrupted their conversation. Parents, don't talk about it anymore, this is not something worthy of praise. Everyone is working hard, but our family is always lazy. What a shame. And, didn't you promise me? You will work hard, why are you lazy again? Hearing Yi Xiuqing's words, Yi Jianong and Zhou Cuiyan had some embarrassment on their faces. But soon, Yi Jianong made a straightforward look again. How can it be called laziness? Your mother and I don't do much work normally. I suddenly went to double grabbing, and my body would definitely not be able to stand it. I am not called laziness. Trouble. And, aren't we going to the ground? If we hadn't promised you, we wouldn't have to go out under the big sun today. It's okay, don't talk about it, it's a big deal next time I do more and rest later all right. Hearing what Yi Jianong said, Yi Xiuqing let out some helpless breath. Forget it, they have been lazy for so many years, and they really can't change it for a while. It's much better now than before, so how can I still stop it? Slowly help them change it. By the way, Dad, Mom, have you noticed that my fourth cousin seems to be a bit against us today? Hearing Yi Xiuqing's words, Zhou Zuoyin curled his lips in disdain. You just found out that she doesn't like us for a day or two. There are a few people in your grandma's house who can see us, especially the second child. Usually I look quite honest, but in fact, my mind is smaller than anyone else, and I do something that people look down on. They just target us when they target us. Anyway, it's useless. It doesn't affect us to take advantage. People have suffered a loss, and they are not allowed to talk about it, vent their anger. Hearing Zhou Zuoyin's nonchalant words, Yi Xiuqing suddenly didn't know whether to say that she sees well or that she has a thick skin. Then again, she didn't have much contact with her second uncle in the past. The second uncle's family presence at home is very low, she really doesn't know what kind of person their family is. Seeing Zhou Zuoyin's nonchalant appearance, Yi Xiuqing felt a little anxious in his heart when he thought of the book they had suffered because of their carelessness. Mom, although that's what I said, but I think it's not good to let them corrupt our family's reputation so much. I will be admitted to university in the future, and my younger brother will also want to study. If they continue to say this, will it affect our studies in the future? Yi Xiuqing knows her parents, and they value her and her younger brother Yi Yimin most. So, start from this point and persuade them. Hearing what Yi Xiuqing said, Yi Jianong thought for a while, but had to admit that what she said really made sense. You are right. The children of the second brother's family have many hearts and minds. They usually look honest, but like to show others to earn their reputation. Okay, Dad, pay attention to it in the future. Yi Xiuqing breathed a sigh of relief when she heard Yi Jiangong's words. No matter what, it's good for the two of them to pay attention. Seriously, Yi Xiuqing didn't really like the current Yi Xiuli in her heart. By the way, Qin girl, old son, come here and see what father brought you from the county yesterday. Yi Jianong suddenly thought of something, and took out a small cloth bag from the cabinet of the Kong. Yi Yimin, who had been sitting there obediently since entering the house, heard his father's call and hurriedly took Yi Xiuqing's hand and came to Yi Jianong. Yi Jianong took out 2 chicken cakes that were already deformed from the package. Look, after I entered the city yesterday, your uncle Zhang gave me the chicken cake. It's only 2 pieces. I'll eat it quickly. Seeing the chicken cake in Yi Jiangong's hands, although it is not the first time, Yi Xiuqing is still very moved. Regardless of Yi Jiangong's reputation in the village, the two of them are really good for children. Moreover, it is possible to treat a pair of children almost equally. Sometimes www.mflnovel.com they will be more biased towards Yi Xiuqing. Because of this, Yi Xiuqing is even more unacceptable, the ending of the two of them in the book. What are you doing? Hurry up. Don't be silly thinking about giving it to your grandma this time. It won't get into their mouths. In the end, it must have entered the second baby's belly. Yi Jianong stuffed a piece of chicken cake into Yi Xiuqing's hand, and Yi Yimin also held one in his hand. At this time, while swallowing saliva, he looked at Yi Xiuqing eagerly, waiting to eat with Yi Xiuqing. Hearing what Yi Jianong said, Yi Xiuqing was not prepared to say more. Just like Yi Jianong said. Although the 2 elderly people in the family favor Yi Jianong, they are also good to the other 2 sons. It would be good if there were more things, like this kind of good stuff. If the quantity was small, the 2 old people would definitely not eat it by themselves, leaving it to the uncle's cousin. Thinking of this, Yi Xiuqing didn't say more. Dad, I can't eat it myself. The 3 of us eat separately. Jing nonsense, a piece of chicken cake is only so big, why can't it be eaten? Okay, I ate it in the county yesterday, and I won't eat it. If you can't eat it, just divide it with your mother. Let's eat together. Dad, I will give you my share. Yi Yimin, who was standing next to him, heard what his sister said, and thought for a moment. Although he was a little bit unwilling, he still graciously broke most of the chicken cake in his hands and handed it to Yi Jianong. At this time, Yi Xiuqing also broke more than half and handed it to Zhou Zuoyin. Seeing the actions of the two children, Yi Jiangong's smiles on their faces couldn't fall. After a few pushes, the four of my family happily ate 2 small chicken cakes. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology chapter 5, eat eggs. The fourth family, I heard that the youngest is tired, how is it going? As soon as the voice fell, the door of their room was pushed open from the outside. A young lady in her 60s, with gray hair and thin body, came in. She seems to have just returned from the ground, still covered in dust and corn fleece. Because of the anxiety, the expression on his face was a little serious at this time, and it seemed uncomfortable. Hearing her words, Yi Jiangong changed his face in a second. "Mother, I'm fine, but suddenly I do too much work, and some of them are exhausted." "No, just come back and rest for a while." The little old lady, who is Yi Xiuqing's grandmother Zhao Chunhua, glanced at Yi Jiangong who was sitting there, and she was relieved in her heart. However, after letting go, the anger in her heart rushed up. Zhao Chunhua stepped forward, and reached out and pinched Yi Jiangong's ear. "Well, you little bunny, you are playing with my old lady. I have been your mother for more than 30 years. I don't know what kind of bear you are. You can do it, when double grabbing is so important, do you dare to play tricks?" Yi Jiangong was not at all surprised that Zhao Chunhua saw through his little calculations. "Mother, my dear mother. Please lightly, the ears are about to fall, the ears are about to fall." Yi Jiangong was not at all afraid of Zhao Chunhua's cold face. Hearing what Yi Jiangong said, even if he knew that he was acting, Zhao Chunhua still let go of her hands with some distress. "Okay, since you pretend to be sick, just stay at home. Don't go out if you have nothing to do in the past 2 days. You have returned to the ground this time. It is not too shameful to me and your father. Wait, I will give it to you. You boil an egg to eat." Hearing what Zhao Chunhua said, Yi Jiangong was not at all polite with his own mother. Mother, we have a family of 4. Boil 2 more eggs. Boil 2 more. I think you look like an egg. There are only a few eggs in the family, all of which are boiled for you. Do you think your 2 sisters-in-law have any opinions? It is not that Zhao Chunhua dislikes the 2 children of Yi Jiangong's family, especially Yi Yimin. He was the first boy in the 3rd generation of their old Yi family. As the saying goes, old son, grandson, the lifeblood of grandparents. Although the words are a bit rough, it is true for the older generation in many places. It is precisely because of this that Yi Jiangong and his family can live so nourished without doing most of the work, and they can send Yi Xiuqing to school. Zhao Chunhua started to work with very quick hands and feet. After a while, he took 2 eggs into the house. Yi Jiangong took the 2 eggs handed over by Zhao Chunhua, and swiftly peeled one of the eggs. Instead of eating it by himself, he handed it to Zhao Chunhua. "Mother, you can eat this egg. How old I am, what kind of eggs I eat, isn't it a waste? Give it to Qin girl and Tai Dan." Said that, but Zhao Chunhua's wrinkled face showed a happy smile at this time. "Mother, that's not what I said. You see that you usually work for our family. You need to worry about everything in the family. Usually there is a delicious bite at home, you leave it to the juniors like us, and my son remembers it in his heart. Now that the autumn harvest is so tired, you have to not only do the work in the field, but also worry about the family affairs when you go home. How can I stand it if I replenish my body? Oh, mother, I love you, and you love your son. Don't worry about me. Yi Jiangong is very handsome, plus he hasn't done any heavy work since he was a child. Therefore, his skin is different from the fairness of most people in this era." At this time, saying this to Zhao Chunhua couldn't stand it at all. With a touch on her face, she took the egg that Yi Jiangong handed over to her hand. Seeing Yi Jiangong's eyes, he also became more kind. Although it was not the first time I saw each other, Yi Xiuqing was amazed at her father's ability to coax people every time. Sure enough, he can be so favored at home, completely based on his own strength. In this family, my elder son is still the most filial piety. He even thinks of me when he eats an egg. Unlike your 2 unscrupulous brothers, who knows to anger me all day long. After finishing speaking, Zhao Chunhua reached out and waved at Yi Xiuqing and Yi Yimin. Seeing her movements, Yi Xiuqing hurriedly led her brother to Zhao Chunhua's side. Zhao Chunhua reached out and touched Yi Yimin's head, then split the egg in his hand into two and handed it to Yi Xiuqing and Yi Yimin respectively. Although the egg in Yi Yimin's hand is obviously not much bigger than hers. However, Yi Xiuqing would be more satisfied in his heart to let some patriarchal old ladies make the act of dividing eggs. Milk, I don't eat it, you eat it. My father often tells me that you are a great hero of our family, and all good things should be eaten for you. Hearing what Yi Xiuqing said, there were some ignorant Yi Yimin on the side originally. Although a little reluctant to hold the egg in his hand, he obediently lifted the egg and sent it to Zhao Chunhua. Originally, because Zhao Chunhua loved the house and Wu, he was better with Yi Xiuqing's sisters and brothers than with other grandchildren. Now watching the heartwarming behavior of the two children www.mflnovel.com, I feel more comfortable in my heart. Okay, with such a big milk, it's not enough to eat the things of your two children. Besides, the keys to the kitchen at home are in my hands. Whenever I want to eat, I can cook one by myself. After speaking, Zhao Chunhua was ready to go out without waiting for others to speak. As a result, after 2 steps, he was caught by Yi Jianglong. Before Zhao Chunhua could react, he split the egg he had just peeled into 2 and stuffed one into Zhao Chunhua's mouth. I don't know you yet, I have given us good things, where I am willing to eat. The eggs are in their mouths, and Zhao Chunhua can't spit them out anymore. Besides, this is her elder son respecting her. Don't look at what Yi Jianglong said on her lips, but she was happy in her heart. You guys hurry up and eat, I can tell you that they will be back in a while. No one is allowed to talk about eating eggs, I heard you haven't heard. After speaking, he opened the door and walked out. Don't be stunned, eat the eggs quickly, did you hear what your milk just said? Especially the iron eggs. Don't tell anyone, we ate eggs at home, did you hear? Hearing Yi Jianglong's words, Yi Yimin nodded fiercely. Then, with some reluctance, I started to eat the eggs in my hands in small bites. And Yi Jianglong also divided the remaining half of the egg into 2 halves, and handed half of them to Zhou Zuoyan. As a result, as soon as Zhou Zuoyan took the eggs and waited to eat them, the door of their room was pushed open again. Okay, I said that your family of 4 came back from the ground, and what are you doing secretly hiding here? It turned out to be secretly operating a small stove here. Eat alone. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology chapter 6, help you go smoothly. The one who opened the door was Yi Jianglong's sister-in-law. Is different from Yi Jianglong, who has been idle since childhood. His elder brother has been a very sensible child since he was a child. When he was a teenager, he could help earn centimeters at home. He is strong, and very hard-working, so he was appointed as the captain of the brigade. When he was of marriageable age, the number of people who came to see him was not small. Among these girls, Zhao Chunhua picked Yi Jianglong's sister-in-law. The main reason is that she has many children in her family, and she is the eldest of the family. When she is at home, she can take care of her younger siblings and keep the house in order. She feels that she can afford the responsibilities of her sister-in-law. Unexpectedly, she can indeed take good care of her younger siblings. However, it was limited to her own siblings. For Yi Jianglong, who is so lazy, she is 10,000 people look down on. Although due to Zhao Chunhua's prestige, she dared not act too much. But, usually, he has been staring at Yi Jianglong and his family closely. If Zhao Chunhua gives Yi Jianglong something more, she will make a noise to the whole family, and she needs some compensation from Zhao Chunhua before she will give up. This time Yi Jianglong's family ate eggs and was hit by her. She would definitely not stop easily. As expected, she walked in from the door while she was talking. I walked directly to Yi Yimin. Grabbed half of the egg from his hand and stuffed it into his mouth. Not only that, but when Yi Yimin didn't let go, he stretched out his hand and pushed him. Because his parents are not reliable, Yi Yimin was raised by Yi Xiuqing since he was a child. Fearing that the couple will have any bad influence on the child's character, Yi Xiuqing has always attached great importance to the education of her younger brother. Yi Yimin was taught by Yi Xiuqing, very sensible. But no matter how sensible he is only a 5-year-old child. In this era, eggs are the best thing. Yi Yimin got the half of the egg and was not willing to finish it all at once, but was suddenly snatched by the eldest mother. Yi Yimin was taken aback, but he later realized that he had no eggs. After being taken aback for a while, he broke his throat and started crying loudly. Hearing Yi Yimin's cry, Yi Jiangong, who had been sitting on the con, turned over and got off the con. From the edge of the con, he picked up the small broom that Zhou Zueyin had placed on the con to clean the debris on the con. He hurriedly came to Lu Honghua's face, and he didn't give Lu Honghua time to react. He took this small broom and slapped Lu Honghua's back a few times. Although this little broom is not hard, it is precisely because of this that I was hit by this thing, like a small whip on my body, and it was hot and painful. Yi Laosi, what are you going to do? Are you crazy? I am your sister-in-law. You dare to hit me? Lu Honghua didn't expect that Yi Jiangong would say something else, and he would just get started without saying anything. After a moment of confusion, I only felt anger, rushing to the Tianling guy from my heart. She rushed towards Yi Jiangong with her teeth and claws. Of course, Yi Jiangong would not stand there and let her fight. While she dodged flexibly, Lu Honghua stretched out her hand. One side can also wave the small broom in his hand. On Lu Honghua's body, he slapped twice. Sister-in-law, what are you doing? I just watched you suddenly snatched our iron egg and swallowed it again. I was afraid that you might choke, so I wanted to help you go smoothly. Look at you, why are you so anxious? Woolen cloth. Yi Jiangong had a smile on his face, but he did not show mercy at all when he started. Sister-in-law, you know that I am the most shameless and skinless person. Here, there is no tradition of not hitting women. If you want to talk to me well, that's fine. If you hit me like this, you have to resist. You can't blame me for hurting you at that time. After all, I am the pillar of the family, and I can't get hurt. At this time, Zhou Zueyun also reacted. She hurriedly stepped forward and stopped Lu Honghua. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law. What are you doing? Have something to say. Although he was talking persuasively, Zhou Zueyun's movements were not at all polite. Cooperating with Yi Jiangong, he slapped Lu Honghua twice on Lu Honghua's body by the name of the frame. Yi Xiuqing was very clever when Yi Jiangong rushed over, leading Yi Yimin to the corner of the room, and waited quietly to watch the show. Seeing how his parents' fighting power was exploding, his heart was full of admiration. Yi Yimin, who was scared just now, was still crying there. At this time, I was looking at my parents intently, joined hands, and beat the big ant, who had a very bad attitude towards him, with no strength to fight back, and couldn't help but split her mouth. Lu Honghua had just been angry by Yi Jiangong's actions, and only when his head heated up, she rushed up. After being beaten a few times, the fevered brain finally calmed down. At this time, she suddenly remembered. Although Yi Jiangong is always hippie smiling. Usually at home, as a sister-in-law, she dislikes Yi Jiangong and does not work. Yin and Yang said a few weirdly, most of the time he just smiled, and would not argue with them. After a long time, Lu Honghua actually forgot. When Yi Jiangong was young, www.mtlnovel.com was a famous messenger in the village. At that time, none of the young people in the village dared to provoke Yi Jiangong. Thinking of this, Lu Honghua stopped immediately. Just as Lu Honghua thought, Yi Jiangong knew that he didn't go to work very often. My own family is actually the cheapest of Zhonggong. Of course he will not be embarrassed, but in order not to make it difficult for his parents to take advantage of it in the future, his attitude towards his family is still mild. However, his wife and children are his bottom line. Lu Honghua scared Yi Yimin today, of course he wouldn't let it go. That's why I just shot and beat Lu Honghua a few times. Now that Lu Honghua stopped, Yi Jiangong felt that he had been angry enough just now, so naturally he would not continue to chase. Seeing Yi Jiangong also stopped, Lu Honghua's confidence returned. Yi Jiangong, you are crazy. Don't forget, you are a free food at home. How dare you secretly eat eggs at home and beat me? Get out of here. In this house today, there is you but me. What are you all arguing about? Old folks, it's not time to get off work, you don't work in the field, what are you doing when you come back? And your fourth, you don't lie down on the Kong, what are you doing on the ground? And why is it so messy in this room? What did you do just now? Although Yi Jiangong and Lu Honghua have stopped their hands. However, the space inside the house was originally small. Just now the three of them were chasing me in the house, and the house naturally became messy. And Zhao Chunhua, who had just heard the sound rushing over, saw such a messy room, and suddenly became angry. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology chapter 7, I'm doing it. Hearing Zhao Chunhua's words, Lu Honghua, who had been holding fire in her heart, seemed to have found the backbone. She pointed at Yi Jiangong and said viciously. Mother, it's not my sister-in-law who is cruel and can't tolerate my uncle. But you can find it in the village. Look at a male like Yi Jiangong. The children are more than 10 years old, and they still point to their brothers all day long. Just raise it, and I won't say anything. But mother, look at him, he hit me just now. My uncle beats my sister-in-law, which family can do this kind of thing? Together with me, I usually raise him with good food and drink, I have to be beaten by him. Separate family, mother, today must be separated. I can't stay in the same family with him for a whole day. I know you and my father are partial, but if you don't separate today, I'll be the head of the family. Separate out by yourself. Hearing what Lu Honghua said, Zhao Chunhua was also stunned. My son knows that Yi Jiangong has such a temperament. To say that he drove around in order to take advantage of it, she believed. However, Zhao Chunhua didn't believe he would do it if it wasn't for a special reason that he shot his own sister-in-law. Zhao Chunhua, who was eccentric to her son, gave Lu Honghua a fierce look out of trust in Yi Jiangong. Which family should I divide? I and the old man are not dead yet, so you just want to divide the family. Why, do you think our two old guys are dragging you down? You won't find any better if you make excuses, and you dare to be in front of me. I'm telling a lie. The fourth child, did you beat her? I did it. Zhao Chunhua didn't listen carefully at all, what did Yi Jiangong say? After hearing Yi Jiangong's words, Zhao Chunhua turned her head directly and said to Lu Honghua. Look, I said, the fourth child is impossible. After half talking, Zhao Chunhua suddenly felt that something was wrong. She turned her head and glanced at Yi Jiangong, even her voice became sharp. What did you just say? Did you really beat your sister-in-law? You are crazy, that's your sister-in-law. Seeing Zhao Chunhua's shocked look, Yi Jiangong smiled at her with some embarrassment. Mother, I'm not beating my sister-in-law. It's just that she snatched the iron egg's egg when she came up and swallowed it in one bite. I was afraid that she would choke, so I wanted to help her go smoothly. I didn't expect my sister-in-law to misunderstand. Obviously, you were so angry that I snatched your son's egg and came to revenge me on purpose. Sister-in-law, although you robbed a child's egg, you did really shamelessly. But, who told you to be my eldest-in-law? Forget it, what you say is what you say, anyway you keep looking at me unpleasantly. It's not once or twice to pour dirty water on me, I'm used to it. Yi Jiangong's words can be wronged, but wronged. Yi Xiuqing, who had been following him, couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. Seeing her daughter's movements, Yi Jiangong lowered his head, blinked at her, his face narrowed, and Yi Xiuqing couldn't help but laugh. Yi Xiuqing still feels embarrassed about their family taking advantage of Zhonggong. But like Yi Jiangong, family is her bottom line. It's not right for their family to eat eggs secretly, but Lu Honghua came up and snatched a 5-year-old kid's things and stretched out his hand to push him. It was not Lu Honghua's. When Yi Jiangong was sent back, it was almost time for lunch. That's why Zhao Chunhua asked for leave and made lunch for the family by the way. They stayed in the house for such a long time, and the rest of the Yi family who had been working at this time also returned home one after another. Where are all the people? Is the meal still okay? Yi Taizhu, who had just entered the house, couldn't help raising his voice when he saw the cold pot and stove in the kitchen. They have limited time to rest at noon. They have been hungry for a whole morning after doing physical work on the ground under the big sun. When I came back home, I couldn't even eat hot rice. As the head of the Yi family, Yi Taizhu couldn't help starting a fire at this time. After hearing the old man's voice, Zhao Chunhua reacted. She just heard the sound from Yi Jiangong's room. Throwing away half of the food, hurried over to see the situation. The food is still in the pot. Here, the food will be ready soon, wait a while. Zhao Chunhua raised her voice first, and shouted to the outside. Then he turned his head and glared at Yi Jiangong and Lu Honghua fiercely. Why should you two go? I will pack you up when the meal is over. Hearing what Zhao Chunhua said, Yi Jiangong just shrugged and didn't take it too seriously. The one who is favored is always confident. This sentence applies to any situation. Instead, it was the very powerful Lu Honghua who was clamoring just now. At this time, there was some worry in her heart. Don't look at how hard she said just now, but in fact, she still knows what her own man is like. Although I can't say it is filial piety, but I always respect my parents very much. Even the younger brother Yi Jiangong, he loved very much. Seriously, Lu Honghua is really not sure that she can persuade her own man. Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.com followed her out for a single order. Seeing Lu Honghua dingy out of her house, Yi Yimin, who had been quiet, ran to Yi Jiangong and hugged his thigh. Father, you were too good just now. Just like Monkey King, you slapped the eldest mother away. When Yi Xiuqing is free, she often tells some short stories to Yi Yimin. Recently, she is talking about Journey to the West. In Yi Yimin's small mind, Monkey King is the best. And now, Yi Jiangong, who had beaten Lu Honghua away, was as powerful as Monkey King in his heart. Of course. Son, don't worry, your father will protect you no matter what. I heard Yi Jiangong's words, although Yi Yimin was still young at this time. But I also feel that my father at this time is very calm and reliable. At this moment, Zhao Chunhua's voice came from outside the door. Hurry out and have dinner. Hearing this, Yi Jiangong hurried out. I completely forgot that there was a child in my arms. If it weren't for Zhou Zueyun to take care of the child, Yi Yimin would have been hit by his father, who he thought was very reliable, and hit the door. Because of this period, the labor in the family has to go to the ground to participate in the double gun, and the workload is very heavy. Plus this year's grain harvest, it's pretty good. Therefore, the food provided by the Yi family has improved significantly in the past few days. Yesterday, Zhao Chunhua killed a hen in the family to improve the food for the big guy. Today at noon, Zhao Chunhua simmered the other half of the chicken that was left unfinished yesterday. The fragrance came out, and those around the dining table waiting for the meal all stared scorchingly at the big pot of chicken that Zhao Chunhua brought out. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology chapter 8, I want to split up. After the meal started, Zhao Chunhua first picked a few pieces of good meat and put them in Yi Tieju's bowl. Then, I put together 3 sons and 2 grandsons. Okay, let's eat. As her voice fell, everyone on the table. Unanimously, they stretched out their chopsticks toward the pot of chicken. Don't look at the chicken pots are quite big, but potatoes are more inside. Plus, Zhao Chunhua just took away a few more pieces. The remaining chicken is not much. If the action is a little bit slower, you won't be able to eat anything. Yi Jiangong and Zhou Zueyun are 2 people, don't look at their normal work. But at this time, the combat effectiveness can be regarded as the strongest in the family. Only 2 people's chopsticks fluttered. Before Yi Xiuqing could react, there was a piece of chicken in her bowl. Then, Yi Yimin's bowl was put together again. Then, Yi Jiangong and Zhou Zueyun unceremoniously extended their chopsticks to the chicken pot. Affected by the education she received in the previous life, even though she has lived in this world for so many years, she still can't adapt to this way of eating. However, Yi Xiuqing doesn't have to do it, Yi Jiangong's combat effectiveness is the best. Waiting for the chicken in the pot, after all the chicken has been clamped. Yi Xiuqing probably swept it, and found that, sure enough, their family of 4 had the most chicken in the bowl. Yi Jiangong and Zhou Zueyun looked at each other, expressing satisfaction with their combat effectiveness. After that, Yi Xiuqing and Yi Jiangong, 2 people with a tacit understanding, picked a piece of chicken from their bowl and put it in the bowls of Zhao Chunhua and Yi Taizhu. With the loving smiles of the 2 old men and the fierce gazes of other people around the dining table, they calmly bowed their heads to eat. Chicken is so delicious. After the Yi family members had finished eating, Yi Xiuqing's second aunt, who was the mother of Yi Xiuli in the book, didn't say anything at all, so she stood up very consciously and prepared to clean up tableware. It is no wonder that the Yi family, except for the third sister Yi Jianhong who Yi Jianhong married out. Of the remaining 3 sons, only the second child, Yi Jianjun, has no sons. In this era, especially in the rural areas of this era, no son would be laughed at without a son. It is precisely because of this that Yi Erbua's family usually has such a low sense of presence at home. Moreover, he works hard like an old scalper. After Lu Mei piled the bowls and chopsticks together, Yi Xiuli suddenly stood up from her position. "Mom, don't worry about packing up." Stopped Lu Mei's movements, Yi Xiuli turned her head to look at Yi Taizhu. "Grandpa, I remember that our village is generally not separated. Women take turns to clean up the dishes after eating. Why is my mother basically cleaning up in our house?" Except for the aunt who did it several times, the third aunt never did it. Cleaned up. Although these things in the house, Zhao Chunhua is in charge of most of the time. However, as long as Yi Taizhu speaks, everyone in the family will no longer object. Ye's family is a standard male lead outside and female lead inside. As far as things in the house are not excessive, Yi Taizhu never asks. So at this time, he looked at Zhao Chunhua. "What? Think I let your mother do more work?" Zhao Chunhua looked at Lu Mei and Yi Xiuqing, and asked with some unpleasant tone. Although she is partial to Yi Jianong, she doesn't have a lot of favor with Zhou Zuoyin's daughter-in-law. Is angry now, it is only because she feels that Yi Xiuli's questioning has compromised her face. "No, mother, Sonia doesn't mean that. I'll go to wash the bowl right away, and I will finish it soon." Hearing what Lu Mei said, Yi Xiuli had some hatred for iron but not steel. But she also knew in her heart that her parents had been oppressed at home for so many years. If it weren't for something major, she would definitely not dare to resist. Didn't she even think that she should do all these things in her previous life? But to live again, she will never let their family repeat the same mistakes. "Mother, don't worry. We have some things, it's better for us to say clearly." "Father, milk, my mother usually does a lot of work at home. On the contrary, it's my third aunt, who doesn't do much work in the field. Why, I can't do the work at home." Why? She thought it was the old society now. She is the eldest lady of the landlord's house, waiting for someone to wait for her. Hearing what Yi Xiuli said, Yi Taizhu, who was sitting there, straightened up straight. "You shut up and say everything, don't you want to live anymore?" Once, Yi Xiuli was most afraid of this grandpa. She really didn't feel anything terrible about him when she lived again. Am I wrong? She can do it, but she won't let me say it. Just as the grandfather and grandson were confronting each other, Lu Honghua, who had been sitting there watching the show, also made a sound. "It's not that I said, the fourth child is indeed a bit awkward. Just now, the fourth child beat me up. Anyway, I am his sister-in-law, so doing this is a bit awkward." Yi Xiuli was very surprised when she heard Lu Honghua's words. In fact, there are some people who look down on each other in their hearts www.mflnovel.com, but at this time, because they have a common enemy, the two of them actually talked to each other, and they cooperated very tacitly and talked about Yi Jianong. Bad things about the family. "Okay, I know what you two want to say. You will start working right away, and you can directly say, your family, talk about what you two want." After listening for a while, Yi Taizhu directly interrupted the two of them. "Separate. Separate." The two said in unison. Hearing what they said, Yi Taizhu glanced at his two sons. "Is that what you mean?" Hearing that Yi Taizhu couldn't hear the emotions, Yi Boss and Yi Er were scared to death. They never thought that these two men were so courageous. Didn't discuss with them at all, and even directly said that he wanted to separate. This is not to divide the family, it is to kill them. "Dad, we didn't mean that." "Yes, Dad, the child is young and ignorant, nonsense, don't be angry." "Yes, Dad, I'll clean up her when I go back." Yi Tieju's gloomy expression looked better when he heard the words of his two sons. As long as the son doesn't stray from them, other things are not a big deal. Since you have no intention of separating families, take care of your wives and children, and don't let me hear this next time. Forced by Yi Tieju's majesty, 2 men, both in their 40s, nodded obediently at this time, dare not say a word. After suppressing his 2 sons, Yi Taiju put his eyes on Yi Jiangong. Old Fourth, did you really beat your sister-in-law just now? The female partner gets rich in the Chronology chapter 9, still have to change slowly. Yi Jian functioned in the home of the wind and water, thanks to his ability to look at the faces of his parents. As soon as I heard this, I knew that Yi Taiju must be angry. Knowing that what he said was wrong at this time, Yi Jiangong hurriedly pulled Yi Shuqing with his hands behind his back. Yi Shuqing knew that it was time for him to play. Although Yi Taiju and his wife have some patriarchal patriarchs, as Yi Jiangong's daughter, she is considered the most favored among the Yi family girls. Plus, as an adult, even if her body becomes smaller, she will not be as naughty and sloppy as a real child. With the advantage of picking the appearance of her parents, she looks good, and she is also very good at studying. Therefore, she is still relatively favored at home. Grandpa, don't blame my dad loves us too. Yi Shuqing sobbed, some redness in her eyes. She told the truth about what happened in the house just now, without any partiality. You also know that my dad loves my brother the most. He was frightened like that by his elder aunt. Only for a while did my dad have some trouble controlling his temper. I blamed me for this. I didn't take good care of my brother. Grandpa, you blame me. Bar. Before Yi Taiju could speak, some of Yi Shuqing's uncle Yi Jiandang couldn't sit still. Although my mother-in-law suffered a loss, she robbed a 5-year-old child to eat. He felt ashamed to speak out. Dad, this matter is just a misunderstanding. It's almost time for work, so let's go first. Yi Jiandang couldn't stay in the house at all, regardless of Lu Honghua's resistance, he pulled her out. The bitter master is gone, Yi Taiju just said a few words about Yi Jiangong, and this matter is over. Seeing Yi Jiangong's family happily returning to the house, Yi Shioli gritted her teeth bitterly. I count them lucky this time, she doesn't believe that their family can always be so lucky. Daughter-in-law, what happened to Si Yatu today? Do you think she has been targeting our family today? Of course Zhou Tsueyin felt what Yi Jiangong said. I also think this girl is a bit abnormal today. I used to be my sister-in-law alone, and I didn't like this or that at home. Everyone ignored her. After a long time, she stopped. Now the 4 girls don't know what's wrong with her, and she sang along with her aunt. Look at it, let's wait for the noise in the house from now on. Hearing Zhou Tsueyin's words, Yi Shuqing couldn't help but admire her parents' transparency. This is not what it says in the original book. In the beginning, Yi Shioli used Lu Honghua's ability to pick things up to disturb the house. Later, Yi Taiju was forced to separate. Yi Shioli and his family have not only gained benefits, but also gained a good reputation outside. It provided a lot of convenience for Yi Shioli to do business in the future. Now it seems that Yi Shioli is about to turn their old Yi family upside down. Of course, Yi Jiangong and Zhou Tsueyin only talked about their thoughts. As for other things, given their status in the home, they are not in their turn to take care of them. After the 2 of them stopped talking, Yi Shuqing looked up at them. Whether it is Yi Jiangong or Zhou Tsueyin, they are used to being lazy and skating at home, and the elders in the family spoil them. The sisters-in-law said a few words, and they treated it as if they hadn't heard it, and others couldn't do much. But no one knows that these 2 people will be under the control of their own daughters. No, when they saw this expression, both of them were agitated. You look at me, I look at you, I don't know what I did wrong. They went to work on the ground yesterday, and they didn't sleep in bed this morning. Before dinner in the morning, Zhou Tsueyin helped burn the fire, and Yi Jiangong even went to accompany his eldest brother to pick up a load of water. Thinking of this, they are almost moved by themselves. In the past 2 days, the 2 of them are really hard-working. Yi Shuqing sighed when seeing the 2 people with their faces in circles. Dad, Mom, didn't we say it? If there is something delicious in the house, let your grandparents eat it first. Hearing Yi Shuqing's words, Yi Jiangong frowned. Qing girl, you are angry because of this, what a big deal. didn't your milk give your grandfather the chicken? Later, we also gave you milk. Besides, we don't eat these chickens. I can't get into your father and your milk bowl, so why don't we eat it? The more I said, the more upset Yi Jiangong. Okay, you can eat some of it, don't worry about it. After Yi Jiangong finished speaking, he turned around and stopped talking to Yi Xiuqing. Seeing him, Yi Xiuqing sighed. Sure enough, some of their views are still different, and they have to be reformed slowly. I can't let my family suffer even if I don't say it, but I always take advantage of others, which is not so good. Since Yi Xiuqing came to this era, her sleep quality has been very good. However, I thought that I was actually wearing a book. Moreover, it turned out to be a small cannon fodder in this book. Yi Xiuqing was lying on the Kong and couldn't sleep. She carefully recalled the contents of the book there, wishing to recall every word in the book that she had read before. In this way, I can avoid their family as much as possible. The tragic ending like in the book www.mtlnovel.com, I don't know if it is because of the influence of crossing. In the last life, Yi Xiuqing's memory is very good. And this life has become even more outstanding. Although I haven't been to the realm of memorability, it's not too different. Now, she is trying hard to dig out the content of this book from the depths of her memory. It really reminded her of a lot of things that she hadn't cared about before. When recalling one of the clips, Yi Xiuqing suddenly sat up from under the bed. Green girl, what's wrong? Have you had a nightmare? Now the Yi family is not separated, the entire extended family lives in the same courtyard. Therefore, Yi Xiuqing and his family live in a house. However, the area of this house is relatively large. When he went to bed at night, Yi Jiangong used the curtain again and drew it in the middle of the Kong, which was regarded as dividing the room into two parts. Even if they sleep with a family of 4, the house is still spacious, but there is no privacy. So, Yi Xiuqing suddenly sat up, and Zhou Zueyun on the other side of the curtain immediately noticed it. Yi Xiuqing shook her head when she heard Zhou Zueyun's words. Thinking that she couldn't see her movements at all, Yi Xiuqing could only lower her voice and replied, Mother, I'm fine, I didn't have nightmares, I just remembered something suddenly. Don't think so much, go to bed early, and get up early to work tomorrow morning. Although their family of 4 can't do much work even if they get to the ground, they still have to show their attitude. Otherwise, the village head will come to their home again to talk. Upon hearing Zhou Zueyun's words, Yi Xiuqing happily agreed. But she was lying on the bed, her brows frowned tightly. The female partner gets rich in the Chronology chapter 10, Convective Rain. When she just recalled the contents of this book, she suddenly remembered. In the description of this book, there was a very heavy shower at noon on the last day of the double grab. This led to the fact that the grains on the drying farm were not collected in time. Although everyone tried desperately to rescue, nearly half of the grain was wetted by rain. Because of improper preservation, a lot of it became moldy. This led to the fact that most of the villagers did not have enough food in their villages after they paid the task grains this year. Yi Xiuli just caught this, and constantly teased her parents and uncle's family. In the end, they forced Yi Taizhu to give up their family without giving birth and eating a lot, so they were separated from the Yi family. There will be heavy rain on the last day. Yi Xiuqing didn't know it before. Now that I know it, I can't bear to let the villagers in the village lose their hard-harvested food because of a heavy rain. The problem now is that even the older generations in the village who are experienced in life have not noticed the rainstorm. What reasons did she use to convince the cadres in the village to trust her judgment? Thinking of this, Yi Xiuqing couldn't help feeling some headaches. Because she was thinking about things in her heart, when Yi Xiuqing got up the next morning, she naturally looked a little listless. Qing girl, why don't you take a day off at home today? Zhou Zueyun looked at Yi Xiuqing's state, and felt a little uneasy in his heart. Yi Xiuqing shook her head hurriedly when she heard Zhou Zueyun's words. She is also going to go to the ground today to see if she can find some, which seems to have a scientific basis, and can persuade the village cadres of reasons. Besides, it is necessary to leave a good impression on the village cadres, right? Seeing Yi Xiuqing shook his head, thinking that their family ran back halfway through yesterday. Yi Xiuqing doesn't go again today, it's really not so good. Therefore, Zhou Tsueyun can only feel a little distressed and buttoned a straw hat on Yi Shiqing's head. After you go, don't be silly and rush to work with others, and sit under the big tree next to the ridge for a while. You are a kid, and no one cares about you. Hearing Zhou Tsueyun's words, Yi Shiqing nodded irresponsibly. While waiting for a break, Yi Shiqing sat directly under the big tree in a daze. Thoughts no longer know where they are going. Sister, aunt. Yi Yimin, who was sitting next to him, suddenly pushed Yi Shiqing and pointed at the group of ants next to her leg. Hearing what Yi Yimin said, Yi Shiqing moved her feet lazily to prevent the ants from crawling over. Halfway through her movement, she suddenly stopped. Yi Shiqing only felt her eyes light up, and found that she had drilled a horn. She is not doing a question, she must get the correct answer based on the process. Now that she has the correct answer in her hand, she can completely fabricate some evidence indiscriminately. When the heavy rain really fell, I believe that the cadres in the village would no longer be entangled in how she discovered the rain. Thinking of this, Yi Shiqing couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Anyway, the rain will come down at noon on the last day of the double grab. She went to the village cadre to talk about this in the morning, and there was no time. Moreover, they will not have much time to ask her. Perfect. All the villagers in the village are rushing to harvest food wholeheartedly. In just 1 week, all the crops in the field have been collected. At this time, they are drying in the drying yard in the village. Yi Shiqing, who has always been less concerned about the autumn harvest because of something in his heart, has recently paid special attention to the double grab. When I was eating last night, I heard Yi Taizhu and Zhao Chunhua talk about the village chief who wants the villagers to put these grains in the warehouse tonight, and when they go to hand in the task grain tomorrow. Yi Shiqing knew that today is what the book says, it will be the day when it will rain heavily. So early this morning, Yi Shiqing urged Yi Jiangong and Zhou Tsueyun to go to the field as soon as possible. After waiting for the two of them to go to work, Yi Shiqing pretended to sway around the field, and then, with a surprised expression, ran towards the village chief not far away. Sanshu Gong, do you have time now? I have something to tell you. Qin girl, did you ask me for anything? Although the village head's impression of Yi Jiangong and his wife is not particularly good. I think the two of them are lazy and do not seek to make progress. But for the little girl Yi Shiqing, he still has a good impression. The full name of the head of the village Yi is Yi Wenhua. From this we can see how much the elders in his family hope that he can become a cultural person. Village Mayor Yi did read for a few days when he was young. It was just that it was forced to stop because of the war. Yi Shiqing has a good grades in school, but she doesn't like to and ski like her parents. For such younger generations, Chief Yi naturally likes them. Hearing the words of a village chief, Yi Shiqing's face had some uncertain expressions. My uncle, when I was just resting, I saw ants walking around on the ridge one after another. When I came to you just now, I also saw a few fish jumping out of the water to breathe. Also, the weather will be very hot in the past 2 days. It stands to reason that the sun is so full and the air should be relatively dry, but today's air is somewhat moist. And when I went out this morning, I found that the top few leaves of the big tree in my yard had been swaying. This situation is very similar to what I saw in the book before the convective rain. I feel that something is not quite right, so I want to come over and talk to you. Yi Shiqing's words are very solemn. But Mr. Yi didn't take these words to heart. There are many kinds of old farmers in the village who have lived all their lives. Their ability to perceive changes in the weather is much better than that of a little guy like Yi Shiqing. They all said that there will be no rain in the last 2 days. In comparison, Mr. Yi is still more willing to trust his old buddies. Of course, Yi Shiqing is also for the consideration of the village. She must not discourage the children's desire to do things for the village. So, village chief Yi slowed his voice and tried to be kind. Qin girl, the third uncle knows what you said, I will discuss it with other village officials in the village. If there is a sign of rain, we will contact everyone and collect the food as soon as possible. Says this, but Yi Shiqing can tell at a glance that he is now perfunctory. Sanshugong, what I'm saying is true. The book says that in summer, because of the strong sunshine and strong evaporation, the air will expand and rise when heated, and then it will cool down at high altitudes, and it will condense into rain and fall. The raindrops will be very large, and the downpour will fall sharply. And thunder and lightning add up. This kind of relationship is called convective rain. Usually it appears in the summer afternoon, and because the weather has always been very good before this kind of occurrence. So most people have no way to predict it in advance. I heard my grandfather said at home yesterday that the rice has been sun-dried for a day. You originally planned to put away the grains this evening. In fact, if we put them away this morning, it won't have much impact. The convective rain will be rushing, and it will be particularly heavy. If it really rains, it will be too late for us to harvest grain. Yi Shuqing said, sounded very scientific and profound. After speaking out, the head of the village Yi only felt that he was dizzy. He didn't understand this long list of ups and downs. But he understood that Yi Shuqing said that this kind of rain would be very urgent and heavy. Originally, Chief Yi village did not take Yi Shuqing's words to heart. However, after this string of words that were particularly powerful after hearing it came out, he had to pay attention to it in his heart. He was able to become the village chief, and, even in the most severe years of the famine, he didn't let anyone starve to death in the village. It was his courage, carefulness, decisiveness and caution. Just like Yi Shuqing said, he is also going to put away the grain anyway, so he won't delay anything a day and a half earlier. Okay, the third uncle will believe you this time. I will find someone to collect the grain now. www.mflnovel.com Kinjayadu. If it really rains like you said at noon today, you can be regarded as a village in the village. It's a great achievement. Of course, it doesn't matter if it doesn't rain. It's just for everyone to collect the food during the day and save them from working in the dark most of the night. Yi Shuqing knew that Chief Yi was comforting herself. She was afraid that the rain would not fall, and she was burdened. Yi Shuqing accepted his kindness. San Shu Gong, I know, then I will go back if there is nothing wrong. Zhou Tsueyun, who was enjoying the cool under the tree, saw Yi Shuqing approaching, and hurriedly pulled her over. What did you say to Uncle San? Hearing Zhou Tsueyun's words, Yi Shuqing thought for a moment, and repeated to her what he had just said to the village chief. After listening to Yi Shuqing's words, Zhou Tsueyun had some worries in his heart. I'm afraid that if it doesn't rain in the village today, the other villagers who know about it will have ideas about Yi Shuqing. Was anxious, but did not say that Yi Shuqing was doing something wrong. She just raised her hand and rubbed Yi Shuqing's head. Really, I've got so much heart at a young age, and I don't know who you are like. Okay, let's go and have fun with your brother. Village head Yi is very prestigious in the village. He gave an order. Although many villagers did not understand why the village head let them receive food in the morning, he did not object to it. They honestly collected the grains on the drying field, and then dumped them into the granary in bags. It is not stated in the book when did the rain come down, only that it was noon. Yi Shuqing originally thought it was around 11 o'clock. Unexpectedly, just after 10 o'clock, the originally clear skies suddenly rained heavily.